tell you one thing, my people. Yesterday's Zuffa boxing press conference was absolutely fireworks. The matches that they have leading up to tomorrow's fights look absolutely fantastic. And now we get the breaking news that not next Friday, next Saturday, but next Sunday, Zuffa Boxing, February 1st, is throwing their second event taking place at the Apex, the Meta Apex in Las Vegas, Nevada. And I'm going to tell you like this, bro. The fighters and the fight matchups that they put on is going to be absolutely fireworks. You're talking about Jose Venezuela, who's a former WBA junior welterweight champion. When he signed over to this league, it was one of the biggest names before the Jai Butaev signing. But it was definitely one of the biggest names to cross over into the Zuffa Boxing League. This is a guy in 2022 who was a highly rated prospect training with David Benavidez and the Benavidez team before running into Edwin de los Santos, where he got absolutely sparked and KO'd. Right after that fight, fights Chris Colbert, loses by decision, but a lot of people thought that that was a robbery. He ends up coming back his next fight, fighting Chris Colbert, and what does he do to him? Knock him out. Boom! And after that, he gets his WBA fight against Isaac Pitbull Cruz, boxed the head off of him, and just recently lost his title in his last fight to Gary Antoine Russell. Gary Antoine Russell, you could call him the dark horse of the junior welterweight division. Nobody wants to fight this guy. None of the big names want to give this guy an opportunity. He's a dangerous opponent. Jose Venezuela gave it to him. Didn't end up turning the way he wanted it to. He got completely outboxed. But still a good, exciting fighter to watch. Now, he's going to be going up against Diego Torres. Diego Torres has one loss in his career. This is a Mexico versus Mexico fight. His last loss was against Raymond Morataya in honestly a fight where he was getting backed up the whole time. Raymond Morataya putting it on him, destroyed him, ended up KOing him with a big left hook, right? The guy gets up, the referee's like, yo, are you good? Are you good? It looked like he was good to continue, but the referee stopped it. Now, at the end of the day, Raymond Morataya was beating the crap out of him. We already knew what was going to happen. But since then, the dudes, picked up a little win streak fighting in Mexico, and in my opinion, this could either go two ways. Jose Venezuela could either box the head off of him, catch him with a counter, knock him out, or Diego Torres can make this an excellent fight with his forward pressure. And honestly, he's got a lot better since that Raymond Morataya fight. The thing is, I still see Diego Torres in against these lower level guys getting hit with big shots. Now, I know he packs a punch. He likes to put the pressure, but against a guy like Jose Venezuela, man, this is going to be a fun, exciting matchup. We could see something crazy happen, or it's going to be a goddamn barn burner of a fight. Now, the other fights, not only do we got Alexander Gvozdyk, who's from Ukraine, is a bronze medalist from the Ukraine in the Olympics, only has 2 losses in his career, a loss to David Benavidez, and a knockout loss to Arthur Beterbiev earlier in his career, going up against Hot Rod. Hot Rod, my people. When I seen that this guy got signed to boxing, I don't even care to announce his name. I like to call this guy Hot Rod. I was like, not the best fighter, but somebody who is like, he's one of those guys that you need to beat him to be able to realize, be able to compete with these higher level guys. He's down there in the lower rankings handling some of the opponents that think that they got the skills, and, he's a good setup fight for fighters that, are looking to go on the top. Of course, Hot Rod's coming off a loss to David Morrell in that fight. Gave him everything he could. David Morrell beat him, don't get me wrong, but in times, dude was countering David Morrell. Wasn't the worst performance coming from somebody who was expected to lose. This is an exciting fight. Like I said, Hot Rod, also another guy who's been knocked out by Arthur Beterbiev, coming off a loss against David Morrell. Interesting fight. Alexander Gvozdyk lost to David Benavidez, got knocked out by Arthur Beterbiev. Interesting fight, right? Then the other matchup, you got Serhii Bohachuk, who faced his kryptonite in his last fight against Brandon Adams. He's big for the weight class, Serhii Bohachuk, but he just can't get past Brandon Adams. Brandon Adams putting forth pressure, combinations, fighting Serhii Bohachuk's fight, beat him. Easier, in my opinion, than Virgil Ortiz beat Serhii Bohachuk. Don't forget about that fight. Some people thought Serhii beat Virgil Ortiz. Now, that was what the hype was about. I seen people leading into the Brandon Adams fight that they were picking Serhii Bohachuk to beat him. Being in the fact that, yes, he lost to Brandon Adams earlier in his career, but recently he's getting a lot better. He took Virgil Ortiz the distance. Some people thought he won that fight. Fights Brandon Adams again in his last fight and loses again. I mean, it's his kryptonite. But in this Zuffa boxing league, he's going to be taking on Radzhab Butaev. Radzhab Butaev only has, one loss in his career, was undefeated at 14-0, going up against undefeated 13-0 Emiliano Steniones, before losing to him in what was an all-out war, a ridiculous war. You know, Radzhab Butaev was wasn't he the WBA champion of the welterweight, the junior welterweight division? No, he was the WBA champion of the welterweight division before losing it to Emiliano Steniones. Steniones ended up losing it to Jerome Butaev. So, my goodness, man. My goodness. That fight is going to be a goddamn banger. Serhii Bohachuk versus Butaev. A goddamn clash between Russian and, man, it's going to be like, boom! Putting two goddamn pit bulls together in a goddamn room. I'm hyped up for February 1st. And seeing these matchups, I know some people can talk crap and say, oh, well, these guys aren't that good. That's not the point. The point of this Zuffa boxing league is they want to put the best versus the best fighters that they have in their roster, taking on the best fighters. And as you win, you keep on moving up the ranks. Yes, they aren't the most popular fighters, but they are game fighters who are coming to fight. You know for a fact you're going to be getting exciting fights. I would rather see two dudes that maybe don't have the biggest names, but go to absolute war, put on one of the fights of the year, than two dudes that are popular but don't want to fight, that want to box around the ring, and no matter what, boxing is boxing, but still. This is going to be absolutely exciting. I think it's a big fight announcement. I think it's a great way to head into their second goddamn card of Zuffa boxing, putting up matchups like this. Let me know what you guys think, man. This is the MMA Boxing Addict channel reporting to you, and I'm out.